Hi, everybody. This episode of the 7th Valkyrie podcast was brought to you by me, Cyrus Delgami. To get the full experience, including all available seasons, extra artwork, bonus features, and behind-the-scenes content, you can download the 7th Valkyrie app at the link in the description. Hello, and it's been a while. Welcome back to the 7th Valkyrie podcast. I'm your host, Colin Sharp, and I'm sure your eyes are tired from a long week, so settle in and enjoy this little treat for your ears. I hope you enjoyed our little pre-introduction by our boy Cyrus. I'm sure he's not the only person who will be coming to say hello and remind you of exactly what's going on around the 7th Valkyrie series. But today we're not talking about that necessarily. It may come up, but today I want to talk about how I changed the towels in my recording studio. And what that meant for me. It was interesting. I had... My recording studio is improvised at best. I can look around, I can see scarves, I can see clothes. I've got some of the eggshell foam stuff that helps, that's really pro, but it's all covered with more soccer scarves, blankets. I've got a suitcase in here that's super soft. Really, it's just everything that I could find that was fluffy, that absorbs sound. And it was funny, I was going to the beach a little while back, and I was like, man, I have these two towels, my blue one and my green one, that I really, really like. And it's just such a shame that I don't have more. And I remember I came in here and I poked my eyes in and I realized all of my really good blue and green towels, which are just my nice ones that are fun to use at the beach, were all hanging up in my closet. And I had piles and piles of old ratty towels that I was forcing myself to use. And I was like, wait a second. So I swapped the towels out. Now I've got a newly renewed lease on towel life, and fortunately, ratty towels do just about, if not a better job of absorbing sound than good, amazing towels do. And that wasn't the only change that I make. I actually got a new desk in my office. I'm getting some new microphones to upgrade the quality, so maybe before too long you'll be hearing me in supervision or audio. I don't remember. But no, I got a new desk, and it really felt like I kind of unlocked the last piece of my home. So 7th Valkyrie Season 0 was created in my fraternity dorm at Georgia Tech. Season 1 was created in Valkyrie, so I guess it's only fitting that now that I'm settled in, that Season 2 is made in my new home. It's interesting because spaces are weird, aren't they? They're very strange. We kind of move around. It's I was always, for a long, long time, I was I just need a laptop and the technology, and I don't care about the space. But as I've gotten older, I've realized exactly how much the room you're in affects your mood and how you use the space. And so when I first got into this house, I had a spare bedroom that really was just a spare bedroom. It wasn't being used. I had my, all the other stuff, but it was kind of this big third, or really more of a quarter of my entire apartment that I wasn't activating. It was just kind of this thing for other people to stay in. And meanwhile, I was working. I went to kind of the desk by the piano, and then I went to the desk by the couch. And then I finally was like, oh, well, I need a designated space. So I went to the back room. But and I set up a quote-unquote office, which was a stool from outside, a chair from outside, a box of magic cards to get the level right, and then my laptop on top of that. I don't know if I have any pictures of it, and I'm still ashamed, and I don't feel like reassembling what it was. But it was such a poorly organized office, and this just fits perfectly, that every time my cleaning lady came, she would unorganized, like break out down all the pieces and be like, what the hell is this weird assemblage of items, and move them back to like their original places. So every single Sunday I would have to rebuild my office. And if that's not a sign from whatever higher power that I needed a change, then I should have listened quicker. So I got a new desk, got a new chair, I'm working on getting new equipment. And it's all of a sudden, like I remember I put in my desk and it was like everything fit into place. Like I look to the left and I can see, at the end of the day, I can see the setting sun. I look to my right, I can see the ocean. These are the benefits, everybody, of living in Costa Rica in a top floor apartment. Got very, very lucky with that. I don't claim to have geniused my way into this one. It was a lot of fortunate circumstances, but it's like, it's so cool to be in a place that you can call your own, and I started decorating it. I've got a painting up from an old shaman woman, not an old, I would never call old, but from like a shaman woman in Monteverde who I had a chance to work with, and she painted me this beautiful picture of a coati, and I have another picture or another painting from her of a iguana, and we bonded over our love of mind-altering substances, prog rock, and nature, and I still work with her to this day in some of my other projects, but it's cool to finally put those personal touches on a space and to really make your own. Like I remember when I first got here, it was like I only really owned the bedroom, and I kind of slowly spread out. And the last piece of everything falling into place was really adjusting that final back room into some place that I could really happily call my office. Yeah, so I changed the towels of the recording studio, but more of all, it felt to me like it was this really great metaphor for everything kind of falling into place and putting the last pieces and fine-tuning my workspace. So this was a podcast about that, but it's also a podcast kind of announcing a few things. I'm going to be back trying to release podcasts a little more regularly. I've kind of got my space. I've got my new work responsibilities. I kind of scaled back some projects that were getting in the way of Stone Valkyrie at the end of last year, and we're kind of getting spun up, but I'm starting to see kind of a light at the end of the tunnel. I'm starting to see an opportunity to really step into this and have some more time during the week, have some more commitment. I continue to get better at working. I know everyone does over the course of their life, and that, that's like, oh, well, isn't everybody? But yeah, so I feel good about that. And one thing I was kind of sitting down, there's a lot of things that I've been thinking about since we last talked, because it's been months, guys. I apologize. Like, I just been, sometimes life gets in the way. And one of the things that I realized was I really want to make sure I never forget to have fun with Seventh Valkyrie. It's like, in some ways, my most solemn obligation, because it's this thing that I've been giving my life to for so long. But in other ways, it's the most fun thing I ever do. And it's funny, like the process of working in marketing, and so like never being able to not treat this like a business, and the fact that it takes, there's some upkeep costs to keep this project rolling. It's fun. I forget. I kind of lost my train of thought. I've got some notes here that I kind of got lost on. Oh, okay. So yeah, just general updates on some Valkyrie stuff. So podcast will be coming out weekly, or at least semi-weekly, maybe bi-weekly. We'll definitely check that. Bi-weekly might be more like it, just because that'll be a little bit more attainable, and that's something that I can definitely hit a little more easily. Instagram's going to be back on. It's been a while since I've posted you guys some art, and I actually have a really fun time doing that. So I'm going to do more of it. Hooray! And actually, what I realized is, as I was looking at all these kind of social media stuff, and because again, I work in marketing for my day job, so I'm kind of like I'm always like, well, according to the inbound method, because I'm a HubSpot trained kind of guy, it's like, oh, I got to do this and this and this, and I realized I was like, wait, the only social media I actually use is Reddit, so I've decided to reactivate our subreddit. I actually founded the Seventh Valkyrie subreddit like, I don't know, 8 years ago when I first got this series started, and nothing has happened, and so I'm finally posting on it again, which is kind of fun. That's how I engage with people. My Reddit is my kind of like, that's my preferred thing. I like it. I think it's a long-lasting platform. I like that it's mostly community controlled. not powered by an algorithm, and they've got their problems just like all social media companies do. But that's, I added our link to our Reddit page in the app. I also added a link to our Instagram page. But yeah, I'll actually be active there every week doing little posts. And if you at any point you want to post something and say, hey, Colin, like, I like this, or I don't like this, or I think you're a stupid person, then do it there. And I'll be there and listening, and I'll go, well, I respectfully don't disagree. I don't agree that I'm stupid, but we can have a reasonable discussion about it, or we can both just hurl hateful language at each other. Either way, I'm down. We'll figure it out. So that's that. Updates. So podcast is coming. Instagram is going to be live again. Going to be active on Reddit. We're getting the energy rolling. Needless to say, I will be continuing to write. We're in the middle of chapter 33. And I finally, I've cleared my schedule. I've created time. My cat is currently scratching something next to me. Get out of here, cat. Which was that little lumpy that you heard. And finally. So I threatened this sometime in July of last year, and I never went through with it. And this time it's for real. And what I mean to say is that I finally will be taking down the majority of season 1 from the podcast because it's going to go and live in the app. It will live happily in the 7th Valkyrie app, which you can find on all different platforms. And I think it's going to be in 3 weeks. It's the 27th, I believe, of February. Not sure. Maybe 17 days. So I didn't want to cut off anybody who was in the middle of reading the series or listening to the series. But if you do, then it will be going onto the app. And so just be aware of that. And I was waffling, but this time I put a detonating key code on it. I had my cat dance on the keyboard, so I don't remember what the password is. It's going to happen. You'll always be able to find it. It'll be there. And I think I'm leaving the first 7 episodes up, and I will do that for every season, so you can get a taste, and try before you buy, because I think that's important. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh man, I have to buy this book and I don't even know if it's good. It's like, all right, well, take a shot. But yeah, so this has been kind of a fun update, and I've got all sorts of cool ideas. I'm kind of changing up what this podcast really means to me again. There are times where it was just a production diary. There was times where it was this big marketing project. There's times where it was like, oh, I'm going to educate you guys about how to write, and those are fine. And now I really wanted to kind of evolve it a little bit into something that's kind of a little bit more fun. A treat for your ears, as it were. I came up with that idea a little while back of, I've been, and I'll talk about this in a later podcast, but I was thinking about how, oh man, like, everyone in the world is going to video. Like, it's this hugely competitive space in video. And I know this because I'm well immersed in it when it comes to marketing, and like, you gotta be creating video content. And one of the things I realized was, man, like, I'm sick of video. And like, as a consumer, like, I don't read, I don't do anything because like my video space in my brain is kind of filled up. Like, I don't want to stare at a screen for another hour every day. And so I thought, wow, that's actually a really good opportunity to focus this on just being a treat for your ears. And it's interesting because, I'm sure there's a lot of marketing gurus that would say, oh, well, you got to be on video. People go for video. And that's fine. Like, whatever. I won't chase any algorithm. I've never been one to do that. But I do like the idea of this being a little bit more intimate, a little bit more fun. And actually, I was kind of inspired by the messages that I send to my friends when I'm a little bit too crossfaded at the end of every night, which are just these weird thoughts. And like, I've got a bunch of friends that I love to send long WhatsApp voice messages to. And I'd like to consider you guys all that same group of people. So this doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be getting tremendously faded and sending you guys all messages. I can't promise that won't happen. But I also wanted to just inform you guys that, I don't know. I like just like having, I want it to be a treat. I want it to be something that you guys get it and you're like, wow, man, like, I'm really glad that came in my inbox, rather than like, oh man, this is Colin talking again about the 7th Valkyrie book that's not out yet. It's like, cool, another production diary for you saying you are working on it. I don't know. I like the idea. I've got weird ideas and weird thoughts, and they all weave into Seventh Valkyrie, but some of them don't. And I figured, you know what, maybe get you guys a good chance to get to know me a little better, get to know the weird, strange thoughts that I have, and maybe that'll make you think, oh man, it'll give you a better understanding of the Seventh Valkyrie. Maybe if you haven't listened before, then maybe you'll give it a shot. So anyway, this is kind of separating a little bit from like the, I don't know. I want it to keep evolving. Seventh Valkyrie has been a lot of things to me, and I want it to keep evolving. And this is the most recent evolution, and I figured I'd let you guys know. So with that, I'll let Cyrus take us out. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. Enjoy the sunset and the outdoors wherever you are, or find a really good video game. Those are my 2 tips for this weekend from Colin's trove of delicious life tips. I just came out with that off the top of my head. I've got the word trove in my head because I've been playing Hades. Anyway, I love you very much. And the question I'd like to leave you with is, what voice do you think your pet has? Think about it. Have a good one. Thank you for listening to this episode of the 7th Valkyrie podcast, brought to you by me, Cyrus Delgami. To get the full experience, including all available seasons, extra artwork, bonus features, and behind-the-scenes content, you can download the 7th Valkyrie app at the link in the description.